So it's 8 o'clock, and I want to welcome everybody this morning to At the Intersection, where faith, community, and civic leaders cross paths, learning about each other, getting smarter to be about mutual work and meeting the needs of the most vulnerable in our city, as well as leading, keeping the air nice and clean. And I mean that both environmentally and in thought. And so welcome this morning. It's really good to see all of you. Do we have one or two announcements that someone might want to make? I have one announcement. See, I gave you all a chance. I have one announcement, and it fits right in, if I can find it on my screen. You know, now I think I'm so prepared, and I'm not. This Sunday, I hope that you will all attend. There we go. The Healing Power of Stories. Fits right in. We're going to hear this announcement again at the end, but it fits right in with our briefing today. So we got the bookends, and you're invited at the beginning. You'll be invited again at the end. This is free and open to the public. I'm not going to go through all the details other than Sunday, 2 to 4. It's at the Whitley Center at Oblate School of Theology. There is no registration. You show up. It's hybrid, so it's in person as well. You can come and join through this Zoom link, and sacred.org will be powering that event as well. If you want to know more about it, you're going to hear more about it, but there's more information. And I'll put this URL in chat. There's also a flyer here. You can just click on it and then save the image and put it on like a Word doc, and you can print it. And you probably know some of these authors, San Antonio authors, and they're going to be leading us through a model of how we can gather around stories and the importance of that. So that's kind of even a precursor. Some of the folks probably in that collaborative are going, oh my gosh, it's all like spilling the beans already, but it's not that. It's not that. So I was thinking this morning, actually through the night, about collaboratives. That's my role, is to pull together collaboration between relational collaboration between the faith community, government entities, schools, nonprofits, community groups, businesses, anybody who's willing to co-labor together to meet the community needs and concerns that we have here in San Antonio. And we've been reviewing those this summer, getting things from all of those folks. And we started with the oldest collaboration, and we've been working our way to younger ones. So today is one of our younger ones, and it formed earlier this year. And it's the Essay Story Community Collaborative. And so I'm going to hand it over to them, to this collaborative, because they've been preparing for today. And I think Sharon?
Yep.
Am I pointing to you? So Sharon, it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Anne. And yeah, it's a collaborative. We're going to collaborate in telling about it, but and you're part of it, of course. In any case, I too was thinking in the night about collaboratives, funnily, or because like this intersection kind of is a collaborative, right? People who care about something getting together and doing something about it. And it's, I was just thinking, like, this is what we need in our time when we're realizing we need to do things in new ways. And like, this is a collaborative, it's not a competitive, it's like, it's collaboration, not competition. It's beautiful, it's what we need. So in any case, about the story collaborative, so as I understand it, actually all these collaboratives, the older collaboratives that Anne was mentioning, started to get together, and every time a collaborative got together, someone had a story, or some ones had stories, and they were good stories. And just sort of thought, wow, these are good stories. We should be collecting them. And kind of the story collaborative was born from people who think, yeah, stories matter. And in fact, stories suddenly seem to be everywhere, and everybody is using stories, like nonprofits, for-profits, grant writers, this kind of understanding that stories make meaning and reach people directly. And another dimension of story that seems to be floating to the surface these days, around the growing work on collective trauma and healing, the realization that we need each other, and we need to hear each other, and that to weave the communities that are so important, we need to share our stories. So, and even just hearing each other's voices as mammals, as humans, we need to hear each other. So on this beautiful story portal that was created, there are some reasons why stories are important, some additional reasons. And Anne, I wonder if you could put that story portal up on the screen, and I'm going to hand over to Kristen. Is Kristen here, by the way?
I don't know that she is, Sharon.
Okay.
So we can, if you keep going and I'll chime in, we can just.
Okay. Let's do it. So, Anne, can you? Well, I just wanted to say,
Kristen is here.
Yay!
Yay!
Kristen, because Kristen and her dad worked so hard on creating this beautiful portal and answering so many of our questions and demands and changes and everything. And they did it, and they produced this beautiful portal. So, Kristen, you're the one. Can you kind of tell us something about it? And yeah.
So I became involved in this project with Anne, and I tried to create the website, and the more and more beautiful things that we were putting into it, I let my dad take over because he's a freelance website designer. So this website is a product of everybody in the collaborative as well as our community, and I think it's a beautiful beautiful piece to work that I think flows well, and I hope you'll enjoy it as well. So the whole point of this website is to create a virtual space to hear the lived stories of San Antonians. Here we want to all become into one collective space and let our stories be heard. So we have the About Us section and what this whole project is. Just a quote with a cute little picture. We have a section, why stories are important. Why should you share it and also listen to others? Then we have a portal to other story projects in San Antonio who are, sorry, someone's speaking. Here's another quote, and this imagery is kind of like we're on a path, we're on a portal, we're entering some other section of the website into other San Antonio local foundations who are collecting stories as well, that would like to have partnered with us. So there's some information about each one of them, a picture. Some of them have videos or another logo, and there's also a link that you can go to that website and see their work and their stories. And this is a great model for what can be done in other cities, maybe in Austin. This is the story portal SATX for San Antonio, of course, but this could happen in Austin, this could happen in Houston, and maybe it can expand outside of the state. I think it could be done easily. So, and these pictures, are from San Antonio, and that's the core of it, that we're putting San Antonio at its core into this. The people, their organization, and there's some more images in the bottom as well.
Did you want me to go into one of these, Kristen, so people could see how they work?
You can go into the food bank. I think that would be a good example.
Yeah. This is
So their visit stories link maybe. And just show where it would take somebody if they were on here. And here's different people in our community and their stories. And their photographs, so you know what they look like. So.
Whoop. We're all over the place, Anne. I'll come back.
I noticed we have a raised hand.
Good. Kendra.
Hi, Kristen. I was in the compassionate integrity group with you, and aren't you the cutest thing ever? I love your website, and I love what you're doing for San Antonio. I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. I wanted to say, I just think, wow, girl, go get them.
Thank you. But it's all of us. It's a whole collective effort. So can't take all credit.
Can I add, I'm Karen, I'm also part of the Story Collaborative, and can I just kind of affirm what was just said? Kristen is a work study student, and you can see that we put her to work. And so this is a great opportunity, any of the collaboratives, to tap into the young generation that are in college. And look at this beautiful work that came as a result.
It's really true. Thank you for putting her to work, because she's an asset. Thank you, ma'am.
There's another feature I also should mention. So a little down more so, thank you. There's a submit button. So if you feel the need that you want to submit your story, you want it to be heard, that will take you to that page, some prompts to make you think about what you want to share. And then you put your name, your email, and the message that you want to share. As well as there's an event tab that will show upcoming events. We have an event on Sunday.
Well, that kind of segs right into what I have the pleasure of doing this morning. I'm sure after listening to Sharon and Kristen that your heads are probably all spinning with stories that you and your communities have to share. And that's really what we're about this morning, is inviting you to join us and to share your stories and your community stories with us. And we started out with this small group, and we all knew organizations that had storytelling projects in place, and we reached out to them to join us as partners. And you can see what the response is. How many partners do we have now, Anne?
We have in the portal 10,
10.
but we probably have another 10 in line that we're working towards.
So it's been an incredible response. So, as Kristen pointed out, you can go to the submit button on our website. And what that establishes is your initial contact with us, that we know that you're interested in being a partner. And then we'll respond to that and give you the specifics of what we will need to for you to be a partner and to be on the website. And the other invitation is that because of the strong response that we've had, and certainly what we anticipate after Sunday, is we invite anybody who feels inspired to consider joining us as a member of the collaborative. And you can do that through our website. So yeah, this has been, I think of that quote, everybody remember Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
And this initial vision that Anne had of this collaborative, this is what this is turning into. We didn't know where this would go, and we built it, and now people are coming. So we're very, very proud of it.
So can people join us, Jan, in the collaborative?
Yes, we're definitely inviting people to come as storytelling partners and also as members of the Essay Story Collaborative. And you can do both of those things through our website.
We have a question from Lauren of the Food Bank in chat. It says, is there a criteria for stories that will be displayed? Will there be stories that are restricted?
I don't know if we have that answer yet. We're only looking for San Antonio stories because we're working on the healing of San Antonio. And their life stories. I don't know the answer. Others thoughts from within the collaborative?
Well, just what you said, and I think like the life story part, like if I'm telling my story from my life, from my experience, from my heart, then that's my story, and I don't think we're about restricting such things. It's like if somebody wants to give an analysis or an opinion, what's wrong with San Antonio, what's right with San Antonio, that's not the kind of thing. It's not like talking about, it's talking from life is a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah. I noticed in chat that Wendy posted Faith Lifts Everyday Stories from Multi-Faith Voices, October 3rd at Raindrop Turkish House. There are a couple phases to this collaborative. The first phase, what you're seeing, the result of the first phase, is this portal that connects already existing story projects that are out there. And again, we've got more than are here, although we didn't even think we'd have 10 at this point, but we do. But phase 2 is helping different organizations begin a story project. So we're just doing a pilot this fall with another work studies student from Alamo College District. And so we'll be working with different, like I said, nonprofits like NAMI, Bridges to Care. Everybody, the stories, and I'm going to go back up here. Stories, and this is the reason we formed the collaborative. Stories research has shown, and so all these things here are from research, human research, but they help us to heal. It's the process, and all of our sacred script from all the world religions are based really on stories of people's lives that are told and retold, that speak to us, bear wisdom. It's a part of the human nature of things that it brings about the healing, but telling the stories also help people know about different work and initiatives that can also be utilized in terms of like grant writing. But a lot of the organizations, they've been wanting to collect stories, but just don't have the capacity to begin it. And so that's the phase 2 this coming fall, is to pilot one connection and work on helping an organization form one of these story projects and then link that into this portal. I mean, can you imagine what could happen if teachers and congregations and neighborhoods all started to gather in different ways to tell story? And if you didn't have one, like you have to look far for a story, you don't. But if you're looking for a story, you could come into the portal and perhaps not only find a story worth repeating, but you might actually find the storyteller in San Antonio that person who could come into an event, into a school and tell that story.
And
Yeah.
I just thought of another thing, which is that just seeing all these different portals that you're showing on the screen.
I love this one.
I came into San Antonio and became really, really taken with this city and aware that it's so rich and there's so many dimensions of different communities and so on that I realize I don't know and I would love to know more of. And a place like this really gives a person an opportunity to get to know parts of I mean, I may not be the only one who doesn't know all the parts of the city. And that this is really, really a wonderful opportunity to really come to know from the inside kind of different parts of this diverse city.
I think, Jan, wasn't it you one day you went to look at the website just to, we've all been looking at it again and again and again. If you've built a website, you just kind of go through it again and again and you tweak but I think, Jan, you said you got lost in it for 2 hours reading stories.
Yeah, so beware. Get a cup of coffee, sit down and be prepared, because it really does draw you in. I just wanted to comment on just 2 very simple things, the quotes that are on this website. I mean, anybody who's created something like this, I think we spent hours coming up with those particular quotes. And I think they really, the one at the top, it's hard once you, David Axelrod's quote, if you probe people's stories, it's harder to hate. And that just hit home for all of us, because that's what this is about: healing from collective trauma and learning about our common humanity. And then Padraig's quote, "Let us pick up the stones over which we stumble and build altars." Obviously the stones are the stories and what we can build with those stories. So, it's easy to miss quotes when there's so much information on this, but I just wanted to point those out.
Yeah, and Jan, like about getting lost on this wonderful portal, Kristen and her dad have done the site so beautifully that it's you can look at it on your phone, and then you can just have it when you're in a long line or any place where you just have a few minutes, you can pick up a story. It could be a lot of fun.
We have 2 more questions in chat. Let's see. Celeste, I think, asked about archiving these stories. Will these stories be archived in the city, local libraries eventually?
I would say that's a great idea. Maybe that's phase 3.
Okay.
We haven't talked about that yet, but it's a great idea.
And then the other one was all the story. Kendra points out that the stories that we have on the portal right now are collective stories because they're, from organizations. Are we going to collect individual stories?
Can somebody answer that? Mary Grace would answer that really well.
Well, yes,
been
well,
with us.
Mary Grace, the wonderful Mary Grace of the San Antonio Storytellers, has specifically made a form there at the top. So if you press the submit button, you can just get in touch with us to tell, to say you want to join the collaborative or whatever. But really, this is a place where when it says tell your story, it means you have a personal story that you would like to share. And so there's some possible prompts there at the top. And then under that is a story submission form, where you can put your information and your story and submit it. And Mary Grace will be curating those stories or receiving them and I guess putting them in a personal story place. I don't think we've got quite those details figured out, but yeah.
We also have another wonderful suggestion from Ann Horst about connecting with schools and getting stories from schools. So with the wonderful creativity with Anne and Celeste, you guys are, we'd love to have more people onto the collaborative. We meet Wednesday mornings at 10 for an hour.
Somebody also asked about what kind of events would be posted here. I would think storytelling events. There's one like the one on October 3rd, storytelling events. People gathering together in storytelling. It's all still growing and under development, right? So we haven't figured everything out, but we're doing one step at a time. And I think we were all just very excited about Sunday and the website, that's come together. I don't know. I wouldn't say we're necessarily surprised, but I do know that everybody in the collaborative is excited and feeling our own contribution and commitment into the healing of community. That we've all been through some very significant things in the last couple years together, and trying to find ways that we can heal during those years, post years. Somebody, that's another one. Any other questions or comments at this point?
Well, what exactly is going to happen on Sunday, Anne?
Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked, Sharon. So what we're doing on Sunday, besides hearing stories, we're going to be modeling a way to come together and hear stories and share those stories and learn from each other. And so that we'll all experience it together, but there'll also be like a takeaway sheet that'll say, you can do this in your home. You can do this at your school. So Anne Marie, you could be the first pilot in the school that you teach, and then we could lift that up here on the website. But so we can all go out and start replicating that in our community centers, in our congregational fellowship halls, in parks, on our porches, wherever that might be. But these 4 San Antonians, and I'm sure some of you know at least one of them, but Father David Garcia wrote sermons every week during the pandemic and then put them into a book, and Pandemic Preaching. And so they're all going to be talking about where they have experienced the healing power of story and what that looks like, and doing a reading from their book that will highlight that healing. And then also talking about kind of calling us to action, why it's so important from their perspectives to be telling stories right now in San Antonio and in our context. And so these four come from very different vantage points, but they're all San Antonians. Naomi, some of you know, this is a novel, so another type of story, and how it brings about, those can bring about healing. All of these books are 2022 publications. Simran was born here in San Antonio, and this book just came out at the end of July, and it's on the top 10 national bestseller list already. So we should be proud of this baby of San Antonio who now lives in New York. And many of you know Mario, and he has a quote on the new Labor Plaza downtown, which I've heard all sorts of good things. I haven't been there yet, but that's another part of the San Antonio story. So I'm hoping that there will also be in the portal, that there will be historical stories. And there are some story collaborative, projects out there who do history of San Antonio. And so we're working with them to get those linked in as well. So everybody will get a chance to come and have conversation and hear these storytellers. There will be book sales. They'll be autographing books. It's going to be a time of community and creating community, healing community, celebrating community. Any other thoughts from those in the collaborative?
Well, just to add, just to say, as you say, and we will be listening to these authors and hearing some wonderful things from them, and as well, around the tables, people will be in triads and will be bringing their own selves with their own stories and their own background to say, like, what touched them there, what part of what they heard is really important for them, and listening to each other's stories at the same time. So kind of like making this really a community building and weaving event. I think it's going to be hybrid for those who aren't able to actually come on the spot, so that there's a Zoom link, and for those who want to Zoom in, it could be a lot of fun to do that with one or two friends, so that you can also converse among yourselves when the others are doing it at their tables. So yeah, it should be great.
Do we have any other comments in chat, or people want to raise their hand?
And I have a quick chime in.
Go.
Just to, kind of on the topic of storytelling, an important story by Trinity professor, Dr. Katsuo Nishikawa Chavez, that of course the stories that he told of the dreamers in his great documentary, The Price of a Dream. We will be showing that tonight at our Welcoming Week kickoff event, which takes place tonight. You can still register if you haven't registered already. I dropped the flyer in the chat, and that documentary focuses on the specific stories of I think it's four dreamers. So just a quick reminder. And
I wonder how the portal could link into that. Is that documentary online? And who
that documentary
does it
is
belong
online.
to?
If you look up The Price of a Dream, and there's a couple of other Price of a Dream results that will come up, but if you just put like Katsuo, because that's a pretty not that common of a first name, for English documentaries, Katsuo with a K, and then The Price of a Dream, it'll come up on YouTube. But also Dr. Katsuo Nishikawa Chavez is, he's a San Antonian, he's a professor at Trinity, and not at UIW, but at Trinity, fellow university right down the street. And maybe he probably the best way to do it would be to contact Dr. Nishikawa Chavez.
So this is a great example we haven't thought about like documentaries. That's not come up in the conversation yet. So I think there are at least 3 calls to action today. So if you think of things like Raphael has just done, that's, you know, something about storytelling. This makes us think in a different way, but let the collaborative know, let me know, and I can get it to the collaborative. And then it starts to be a little bit of research, you know, to find out, to call Katsul, find out, you know, can we do that? What would it look like? And that kind of thing. So if any of you know of story projects, things that are already collecting, to let us know. Again, just send that to me and then I'll get it into the collaborative. So the other thing is, if you want to be a part of the collaborative, as these come in, we can use more folks, you know, investigating and helping with the projects, as well as with phase 2, helping organizations who would like to collect some stories and post those. So the collaborative could use some more co-laborers with them. And then the third call would be to come to Sunday and participate and experience what I think is going to be just a beautiful event, but then to take it from there and move it forward. We're working on you know, the email type of thing, info@storyportalsatx.org. But for now, you can also submit things just through the submit box as well, even if it's not your own story. If there's something that you found or an idea, you could probably put that in there too. We'll read it. But thank you, Raphael. I'm gonna look that up. Any other thoughts or comments at 8:37? My gosh, I didn't announce it was 8:30 before. Wendy's got her hand up.
I do. I have my hand up because Interfaith San Antonio Alliance, the Soul Center, and Trinity University Chapel are collaborating to do an evening of storytelling on October 3rd at the Raindrop Turkish House. We're calling it Faith Lifts, Everyday Stories from Multi-Faith Voices. And we have some wonderful people lined up who are going to be sharing stories, but we could use a couple more from different faith traditions. So if that's of interest to you, or you know someone who is a wonderful storyteller that could share an experience in life where faith made a difference, we'd love to hear from them. And I put a little blurb in chat about it, but it will be open to the public. And I'll send all the information for Anne to help get the word out too. But it's simply going to be an evening for the community to share that faith lifts. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, guess what? Uplifting. Thanks.
Yeah, we need to put that on the events page. And I'm wondering too about, Wendy, having the collaborative partner with that event. Would that help to strengthen that, or the city, or so think about that. Beverly has her hand up, then Anne has her hand up. Beverly.
Yeah, I was just asking in terms of the meetings on Wednesday.
Yes.
You said are any of these, you didn't say where the meeting is, and are they accessible by Zoom?
They're only virtual. So yes, by Zoom. So
you said
they're all virtual. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
so again, just email me if you want that information and would like to have somebody participate or be a part of that. And I'll get you that Zoom link and your names into that process. Thank you, Beverly. Anne?
Yeah, I just really think that this should be sent over to a Charter for Compassion so that they can either add you to an existing sector or build a sector for storytelling. And it could be a global thing. You could start this for all of the compassionate cities around the world.
So in that light vein, whatever the right word is, This information has been sent out to all 450 compassionate cities
Yay.
globally, and they've been invited virtually into Sunday. So Billy, it's a good thing that the Zoom room that you have acquired holds 1,000 people. I don't know who'll show up, but we're giving the template away to all of the
Awesome.
compassionate cities. And so all they need to do, it's just really the structure. They'll have to find their own stories, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And but they won't have to like start from zero. They can,
exactly.
change the name of the portal and find their own stories. So we're thinking in the same way. And
Yay, that's so exciting. I love it. I love it.
well, and it's like all of our work, we try to make it replicable. We can look at the San Antonio Community Resource Directory.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, San Antonians can't go into Austin and bring out the content of this story portal or the content of sacred.org. That has to come from within their own community, right?
Yeah.
But the skeleton and the structure or the platform can be replicated. And so all of that hard work can be shared nationally and internationally.
You bet. That's great.
Yeah. We're going to stay here for another 4 minutes. I pause at 8:30 and I didn't pause, and I apologize to folks who just knew that they could go ahead and go. But next week, we're going to be hearing from another collaborative, the Domestic Violence Prevention through the Faith Community Collaborative. And I'm really looking forward to that. I do have to tell you, so this is a call to action as well. Of all of our collaboratives, it has been the most challenging to grow. We don't find people eagerly standing in line to be a part of the collaborative. It's been challenging. But if you all remember, I think it was last fall when Councilman Manny Pelaez from District 8 came and really called the faith community out in terms of domestic violence, that we are pretty silent about it. So there's some good work that's happening through the collaborative. It's going to, I think, be very informative. And we need all of us working on it somehow to strengthen it. And I'm just really grateful for the folks who are a part of it, but it has been a challenge. We've been working on this, forming this collaborative for 5 years. And it still feels like it's in a new state because it's a challenge. And we could maybe even have part of the conversation next week be about why it is such a challenge for the faith community. So that's all I'm going to say about that this week, because that's what's coming next week. Veronica, you might be our last comment or question.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I just wanted to add, as Rafael said, tonight is a kickoff for Welcoming America. And as a part of the Welcoming America, the Department of Immigration Liaison and YWCA are hosting a resource fair for the community and refugee immigrant community. And that will happen September 17. I will sending you more information and see if you can share that with the group and some of the flyers. Thank you.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Anything else for the greater good? Doing some great work out there. Hope I get to see some of you on Sunday. And thank you for all your commitment to our city and to becoming a more compassionate city. It takes community to create community, to heal community. So thank you for being part of our community. Have great weekends. I hope I see you Sunday.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you for all you do, Anne.
You're welcome, Elsa.